Now, existing here on this planet Earth, that we're really good at giving ourselves a heads up, and it's like a under promise, over perform. And
Okay.
then there's areas where it's the complete opposite in such a painful way.
Yeah.
Over promise, under perform. Welcome. We're live. We're here. We're coming at you. John and Agnew show, still yet to be unnamed, even though it is named. But Agnew, you say you thought of a name. That's what you said.
Yes. Yes. But first, I got a special beer for tonight
Oh,
that
what are you
I'm going to be
sharing?
having, and I couldn't resist it because it was a cool can purchase. So it's called Super Villain. It's made by a place on Second
Dig
Street
it.
called Urban Village. I don't know if it's a new brewery, but I hadn't heard of it. So
That's
it's a local
great.
Philly brewery, but it had Doom on there, and I was like, all right, well,
Oh, it's Doctor Doom. I thought
like
it was the Emperor.
I think really I pick almost all alcohol based on what it
Can.
comes in. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like just like wine. Like you walk down wine, you're like, oh, that's a really cool looking bottle.
Yeah.
And then you drink it, you're like, this is terrible, but that was a cool dog on the front, you know?
Oh,
Like,
yeah. Oh my gosh. It's either that or if I say the name of the wine like in my head, like if I'm looking at the bottles and I just catch one and I say it and I'm like, I've heard of that one before. Like
yeah.
the name rings a bell. I don't know who said it or when, but someone said it, so I'll try it.
Well, speaking of
And
the
we can
name,
bash
great
the person.
segue back to the original topic. Way to go. Um, Yeah, no. So I was sitting. I mean, tonight's the perfect example for it, right? And I realized that naming this thing is like naming a child or a dog or something like that. It's like like you end up thinking about it so much. It's like really painful. You want it to encompass everything and nothing at the same time. You want it to be open to everybody, but very specific. It's like so
You want it to
annoying.
connect to a million different things, but also be its own thing.
Exactly. So I was trying to think of I had I don't know maybe 5-10 minutes of focus after I was done taking care of everything in the kitchen
Mhm.
last night, and I sat down and I
Is
just
that
kind of
your
like
job?
no, I
You
mean
shut down the kitchen?
it's just like whoever we trade off on
It
it.
varies.
It varies, yeah. Um, Normally, like it just depends on how the kids are acting and stuff.
I
So
was just
for
going to
for the
say,
most
it
part,
just really depends on what the two
oh,
in charge are doing
I
and
want
who
to
they want
yeah, right.
and when and what they want you to do.
I want to write a book specifically to everyone in the world saying like if you are married and have kids and you don't recognize that the kids are running the show and that most of any arguments you have or most of any ill will you feel to the world is and also all the positive things are coming from them whether they want to let you be happy or not, it's completely their choice.
Hmm. So that is so true, dude. Like all day today, just dreading coming home because Hannah and Charlie have just been terrors at nighttime, at bedtime.
Yeah.
And then tonight, Hannah was like perfect.
Oh,
And I was like, the good times outshine the millions of bad
sure,
so
sure.
powerfully.
But
It,
you can't say that the bad aren't there,
dude,
right?
they're like a constant. It's like a dreading. It's like this I know is making me better somehow
Yeah,
in the long run,
sure.
but I hate it. I hate it like I have to go to school. But then I have to like sit there and like remind
But I
myself
hate it.
like you can dictate them and you can manipulate them. Like I found a trick about Charlie today
Oh,
that I was like, "Oh my gosh, how didn't this enter my mind earlier?" That she's a sucker for a laugh, dude.
oh,
I could get her to laugh and pull out of a cry with like D minus material.
yeah.
She's like an easy laugher. I like that. It all like came together in my head tonight.
Yeah, I
Go
mean,
on.
it all kind of comes down to our reactions to them too.
Yeah.
And that's the toughest part. Like to stop in the moment and remember to make her laugh and not just get further upset about the situation. For I had a trick for Leo for a while where if he was acting up, I would just come running out of like whatever room I was in. I would just run at an incredibly fast speed directly
the-
at him,
the
and
gump arms?
just
The gump arms?
the gump arms, and then just stop within a nanometer of his nose and just be face to face with him. You know, like I was gonna tackle him, but I just stopped right at the very last second, and there's nothing. He can't resist it. He can't. He
And I
can't
love going,
not start cracking up.
I go, wait. What's wrong? And she'll be like, and I'm like, yeah, like you don't know. You don't even know what you're crying for.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, they don't. And honestly, that's chapter 1 of parenting. Chapter 1 of parenting is distraction.
Yeah.
I would say if you can distract them, then
I'm really amazing at it.
That's
If I'm
most of
like, if I'm like not, you know, like if I'm not like just at the end of my shitty week.
yeah.
Oh, sorry, I know we're not supposed to curse.
Nobody
but
ever
you-
said that.
But you know,
You've started that. But
you
I'm
know,
actually on board now.
YouTube can like ding you if you curse in the first like minute or I forget what the time is.
Oh, you
but
know all
it
the
is a
rules.
rule.
I don't know any of the rules.
Yeah. So please don't do whatever you do. Don't demonetize us.
Because that's rolling in.
No, I'm worried about it. But for the most part,
Yes.
I don't like snap on them because like more and more it's like if I snap, they're gonna snap.
Yeah.
And it's so like therapy throughout my entire life, something I'm trying to like unwire. My dad's like 0 to 1,000,000 temper, you know, just snapping and seeing red and just everybody shuts, you know, just shut the room down
Right.
with
Yeah.
with an outrage.
Yeah.
So luckily I've been getting way better at that.
Yeah, it definitely stinks
the
when
games.
when you act exactly like your dad. It's like and like you hear it and you hear the words and then you're like, oh, and not like
So
I mean
deep.
they both have positive aspects, but and I'm sure we latched onto those, but you don't really like catch yourself in the middle of doing something great. You know, you're never like, wow, I really said a nice thing, you know, to Ruby today. It made me feel like you never reflect like that. You only reflect in regret, really. I mean, it's like you might catch the moment and say like, I like where things are at right now. Like they went to bed nice. It's like, that's nice. You know?
See, Betty was so awesome when me and Rye were like really little, like how my kids are now. Like she was just so fun and neat and nice. So like I try my best to like be like, what would she do now? You know, I'm at home Saturday, Heather's gone all day. You know, those moments where you gotta like just step up
Yeah.
and just be a fun parent
Yeah.
for your
You
kids.
got to
who are
grab
bored.
all the groceries
Yeah.
and lift them in one trip into the house.
You got to get on your head and spin. And when I do that, I do think of like I think of it in the moment. I'm like,
Yeah.
gosh, because it was always like Betty was so great. I was like, I can't wait to be like a dad who's like that
Yeah.
for kids. So like when I'm doing it, I'm like, this is the best. Will they remember this forever or never?
I
Right?
I always feel like it's almost like waking up from a dream. Like if you're like in the middle of it
Yes.
and you get control of it, it always reminds me of the scene from Hook, where Robin Williams is like trying to learn how to fly, and he's like about to hit the ground, and he's like, "Wait!" and he's like, and his feet are just like out, you know, like he's just got them like out, and then all of a sudden he's like, oh, and all of a sudden I got it, and he just takes off, you know.
Yes. Yes.
That's
so
that's what
true.
it feels like every single time. It's like, oh man, because you just get stuck in the bad state. But so I had just finished and I sat down and I kind of, you know, it was funny because I said to Kelly afterwards, I was like, you know, I feel pretty creative when I can actually just sit and think about the things that I want to think about. You know, it's just like there's always so much
Dude.
throughout the day that you never.
Dude, I chase
to.
it. Like when I wake up in the morning, I'm like, I'm gonna get to do it tonight. 12 hours from now, it's gonna be there. I'm gonna get to turn it all off, and it's like turn my 10-year-old brain back on that gets just smushed throughout the day, throughout the day. The past 30 years has just been smushed.
Oh my
That
god.
wonderful kid in there, just smushed.
So that's basically what it is. Yeah.
It is, man.
Because it feels like you're doodling again, like when you start thinking about something, like you're like I just watched Ruby, she's like churning out artwork left and right, and
Oh.
honestly, I got to make a book or something and send it down to you because it reminds me a lot of your doodles and stuff that you used to do, because they're
Nice.
like oddly violent too. It's like it's like really weird. Like she mixes things that are she's very good at drawing reactions. Like you used to do that a
Oh,
lot too.
really? You're like,
Where,
"Huh?"
where if somebody was getting hit, they'd be like, like
Yeah.
their eyes would be weird and like their
Yeah,
face
yeah.
would be off and stuff.
Yeah.
It would be like over dramatic,
The
right?
profile, the
And
like
then there would just be like some random person in the back, like like
yeah.
just enjoying it, like for some reason,
Yeah, yeah. A bystander.
Yeah, there's always like a
An
bystander in it and stuff.
unhelpful bystander.
But she just kind of draws out these scenes and then gets up and walks out of the room, and you look at it, and then,
That's
she
awesome.
just drew one of a kid getting his tooth pulled by a doorknob, and there's like blood shooting out of his mouth, and there's like a little kid trying to shut the door, and then there's like a big sister like, "Mom's gonna get you," on the other side of the door. I'm like, this is like a whole scene, like.
Dude, that is so awesome and something that I've always like imagined in my head, and it plays out like Looney Tunes, like the tooth goes flying and the kid's head comes with it, and like it, and the fact that she drew it, it's like, yeah, whenever you hear that old school idiotic like 50s way of getting a loose tooth out, like
Yeah.
Jesus.
It's like, or just wait a day. Like, these things don't stay in there for very long. When it's like, I have a loose tooth. Well, we better rip it out.
The parents were like, we need the 25 cents from the tooth fairy tonight. Get that freaking tooth out. And it's like, but
We're not going to make rent.
The older kids are like, but you're the tooth fairy.
Allegedly.
Shut up.
Allegedly. Yeah. All right. So all right. Enough suspense.
So you were
Enough.
fine.
People are like,
I-
enough. Like we tuned in to listen.
Yeah.
So oh man, now I'm losing confidence in it, but I feel like it's a good idea. I feel like it's got something in it. So being as we do have to work all day and we do have to do everything else, that most of my moments of relaxation come immediately after finishing the dishes in the kitchen, right? So like as soon as that's done, as soon as the last dish is done, I'm like, that's done. And now I'm going to go have ice cream, or I'm going to go sit, or I'm going to go watch a show, I'm going to go read a book. Like it's kind of just that, probably some sort of hit in my brain. Like, you finished it, you're done. Like the day's over, nobody's screaming, it's quiet. Like, you have to go to bed because you're at work, but it's like you're finally calm. And so I was thinking that it could be called the Dishes Are Done podcast. And I was thinking also that it has a bonus. Okay.
All right. I walked over there and I was like, all right, how long do I stand here? Dude, I like it. Although, can I offer just a twist?
Sure.
Just the dishes are done? Or the dishes are done, man?
Oh yeah, no, yeah.
Not the dishes are done podcast. Just
Oh
like
well,
make it like
I just
that
wrapped
line.
it. I just wrapped it. Yeah, the dishes are done.
I love it. I love it.
Because
It's so good. It has it checks everything.
it has a little bonus feature too. It has a bit of a bonus feature because the acronym is DAD.
I can't do it. For me, it felt like a math problem. I was like a D, and a done. What's done?
Like, wait, hold on.
What is it
Is,
again?
is it an
Dishes,
imaginary number? Is it divisible by zero? Like, is it a prime number? Is it an Optimus prime
carry
number? Like, what is it?
a
Yeah.
vowel.
Carry the 7. Wait, why is there a 7? There were letters. Is this hexadecimal?
The dishes are done, man, or dishes are done, man. Dishes are done, man. Dishes are done, man. It's so good, and we got to get that line from because that movie's not like a super hit. So it's like, I mean, it was like a cult hit after the theaters. Don't tell mom babysitter's dead. Dishes are done, man.
Oh my gosh, I forgot that was that line from
It's
there.
perfect. It's like the most memorable line from that movie, and a line that keeps going. dishes, or he shoots the plates.
Dishes are done, man. Yeah, I remember that. Oh my gosh, we almost watched that the other night too. That's so funny.
Dad M. I
That is such a underground. Like it was at the time, right? Like it wasn't a very popular movie, but then in the summertime you just watched it
yeah.
uncontrollably.
Yeah, it was just on and it was great and it was cool because the kids got to like take over.
Oh my gosh, I still remember that Captain Crunch bowl. Like
Oh
breakfast is
yeah.
served and they just put it in that giant punch bowl and I'm like, I'm there.
I know. I
Like
thought it looked so
and
fun.
it's so funny because I remember thinking when I'm an adult, totally going to do this. Like when I'm an adult, I'm going to get like a salad spoon and a big bowl and just eat a whole box of Captain Crunch because I can because nobody's letting me do it now.
Right.
And then
You'll get
maybe I did.
looks.
I don't know.
You'll
Maybe I
get
did. I'm sure I did
questions.
in college at some point.
I
But
know. Like I feel like I did eat an oversized bowl with cereal and was thinking of that movie.
like just like oh, just like nobody's
I'm
gonna
just gonna
stop me.
do this. Yeah,
Nobody's here to yell at me and say that this is unhealthy. I'm gonna just
that's
cut the roof of my mouth
that's a lot of
unbelievably.
that's a lot. Yeah, I know. And I love the berries, and I would eat the Captain Crunch part first.
Yeah,
So then I just had nothing but berries. It was
yeah.
almost like a meal and then a dessert
And
in my cereal.
somebody in marketing was like, "Hey guys, my kid is just eating all the berries. Can we just make it all berries?" And they're like, "You're
Oops.
insane." And they're like, "Get out of here."
And then Lucky Charms was like,
Marshmallows. Like maybe we just take out those other ones.
I used
Well,
to
what are we
get
gonna do
the-
with all these? What are we gonna do with all these frosted things? We'll put them in Cheerios. They'll become frosted Cheerios. And they're like, oh,
those things in the Lucky Charms. It was like that. It was like that cereal came from like, low income cereal shop right. Like it was like a bad cereal got thrown, like a cheap cereal got thrown in with like Lucky Charms. It
yeah,
was so gross
like
and so
the
like
regular
bland.
parts.
Yeah, like that yellow
Well,
thing.
it's because it was so like when you put it next to the marshmallow,
Right. It was a
it's like
contrast.
horrible. Like if you had those with like just a plain old yellow box Cheerio, you're like, oh man, these are so much better than like. I think there's like
Right.
a spectrum of cereal, and it can only move to the right. Like it can only become more sugar.
There's only middle.
You can't move to the left. Like Lucky Charms can't all of a sudden become healthier. You know,
0 is +7.
any healthy part of it can only be removed. It can't be enhanced.
Right.
Right? Like it just has to leave. And they're like, all right, just marshmallows. Just do it. It's marshmallows. They're like waffle crisp. Yep, just waffles. We're done with this.
And marshmallows. I was looking up what marshmallows are and like how they make them. It's like sugar and then it's just like
It's
the
like
air.
it's like freeze dried sugar. Yeah, they're like, ooh.
It's like almost held together by like soap,
And if you ever go to like,
bubble.
whenever I go to Walmart, I have to go to the cereal aisle because they have. It's like going to an alien world where there's different variations of cereal that aren't at other places. It's almost like experimental, like triple mocha latte frosted flakes with Lucky Charm with Lucky Charms in it. We're not even the same company, but we just bought a bunch of Lucky Charms marshmallows and threw them in here. You know,
It's a bunch
like-
of cereals. You just want to be like, settle down. Settle down, cereal. You put
churros.
4 cereals into one.
Like just relax.
Settle
Just come back a little bit, please. You've gone too far.
I don't know how we like no wonder I was so miserable in school, like wolfing down a bowl of that stuff and then going and
And then trying to
sitting.
concentrate. Yeah.
Oh, I'm sugar crashing.
I mean, school was just so boring. Grade school was just so boring. I mean, I feel like it's a lot more entertaining now. I mean, I don't know because I'm not in the classroom, but for my kids, it seems like they're having a good time.
I just think of the people at St. Jude, like, all right, who do we need that will be able to get and hold our children's attentions? Old ladies. Yes, that's what they watch on TV. Exactly. They can relate to them fat old ladies.
And how will we get them to focus in a room that's not air conditioned? Well, we'll put their heads down. Yes, yes, we all know that everyone turning off the lights drops the temperature in a room by at least 50 to 60 degrees. So we'll turn the lights off and give them 15 minutes of heads down. Then we'll wake them up to copy social studies notes by the boardful into their loose leaf paper. And they'll copy paragraph after paragraph as happy as can be to learn more and more about Native Americans, which is all going to be rewritten again 7 years later. So this is just all really great that we're all going to just be jotting all these things down and being, oh my gosh.
It's like, no wonder we were only just taught the dates. It's like, because that's all that we can really, we're not really sure what happened in between all the dates.
Yeah, did we
That's
retain
all
any of
kind of
those?
up-
Like,
up
did
for
we
debate.
ever? I always used to hate when I would see dates because I'm like, who's gonna remember? It's like in 1883, in May of 1883,
Yeah, it's like, just, all right, how
Susan
about
B. Anthony
during this guy's presidency?
fought for suffrage. It's like, and that was like the sentence. That was like it. That's all we got. And we're like, what is suffrage? Is it like suffragate? Is that like the song? Like what is suffragette?
How come you?
Is it like Elton John?
But see, the same things were going through my head. I was like, first of all, what do three of the words in that sentence even mean? So I gotta get that in my head.
Yeah.
No, I'm not even trying. But like, you got good grades and I didn't. I was like, did you just? I don't know. Like, when you bumped into that, were you like, well, what does it mean? And go find out on your own? Because
No,
they
you
didn't
just had to memorize and repeat, and I could memorize and repeat.
memorize. Whew. I can memorize, but like, I almost memorize when I'm not making an effort to memorize, like songs and
Yeah.
TV and movies. I don't know what that is. The worst thing and the most annoying thing that I did memorize is Caesar's, Caesar's speech.
Marcus Aurelius.
Aurelius, the guy that gets stabbed.
Yeah.
His
Yeah,
speech.
I had to memorize that too.
For Malish, I think that was his name at LaSalle, our
Yeah,
English teacher.
That's
remember?
why. Yeah.
We memorized it. Friends, Romans, countrymen, lend me aureus. And I had it down. I like recorded myself. I'd listen to it over and over, and then we were never tested on it.
Yeah.
Malish.
That's wow. That was a good memory. I hadn't heard that. I hadn't heard that in a while. I forgot about that. Yeah, we did memorize that.
I think about it a lot. Pretty much every time I hear friends, Romans, and that is parodied and done all the time. And I was always like, what was his last name? Musselman's Apples? Malish. Something like that, right?
Malish. Yeah, I think so. Sounds right.
Just threw it out there right now. So I wanted to ask you, did you see the Wolverine costume, the Deadpool?
Yeah, I mean,
Shots?
I didn't go looking for it, but it jumped out at me.
I was going to say, it was kind of everywhere for like a day and a half.
Somebody had a very good comment on it. They were like, "This is an amazing picture, not only because it reveals the costume, but it looks like one of the fake pictures that somebody would make for a YouTube thumbnail." Like it was.
That's what I wrote.
It was. Oh,
That
did
was
you?
what- that
Oh,
was
was
what
it
I
yours?
wrote.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I was like, is Ryan?
Maybe I read
Reynolds-
yours. Yeah.
I was like, is Ryan Reynolds the ultimate troll, and he made this picture look like a photoshopped 2012 thumbnail?
I probably came full circle and just read yours. Yeah.
I keep telling people. I said, you saw it somewhere.
I saw it somewhere. Like, go look it up.
Delete them back.
But yeah, no, it did. I do hope at some point they do rip off his sleeves and it goes into like 90s X-Men with like the blue pointy
Yeah.
thing on his shoulder and then sleeveless,
I'm sure he'll cut them off. He has swords. Deadpool.
Yeah, swords.
Like, if you can see House of M back there, I'm sure you can't really see it, but that's the exact suit that it looks like he's wearing. in the
Oh,
movie.
that Deadpool's wearing?
No, that Wolverine's wearing.
Oh, that Wolverine's wearing. Oh, okay.
In House of M, I think Wolverine's the only one who Wanda doesn't like mind trick, and he's like the only one who like can tell what's going on.
Oh, crazy.
Yeah,
Do you think
pretty
they'll
cool.
just like mix that in with everything that Wanda did?
Dude, there's one shot from those pictures. And now that's why I'm like, I'm not looking at it anymore, because I'm like, what the fuck is he doing? It's like the 20th Century Fox logo, like smashed on the ground. Like it looks like it's part of the void from Loki.
Oh man.
And they're like stuck in it because they jumped through time in their movies.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. At the end, he was going through time and
Remember?
stuff. Too,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. He shot Ryan Reynolds in the head, signing the Green Lantern contract. That's awesome.
A great segue by you. The Green Lantern casting news. Did you read about
Oh
this?
no, I don't even know there was a Green Lantern movie. So
There isn't. There isn't a Green Lantern
there's a
movie.
John. Oh, is it John Stewart? Right for you said this before.
Hal and John
Hal and John. Okay.
a show on HBO or Max.
Like
But
a news anchor show.
Guy Gardner is going to be in Superman, and Nathan Fillion is playing him.
I don't know who that is.
You do
You know all these guys. I
when
know.
you
I
see
know.
his face.
I probably know him. Yeah.
He's really funny. He was funny in Guardians. You know who he was in Guardians? Remember when Peter Quill and that other guy are like complaining to each other about like the boss's kid or the boss's like nephew when
Oh
they go
yeah.
to Orgel Corp? And he's like, "Tell me about it. I have to work with the guy.
I don't
He's
know
an idiot. He's the
Yeah.
boss's
No.
kid."
He was good in that scene. He was kind of like that was comic relief done well.
dying.
Like I normally don't like when there's
When they overdo it. They're
When
like Seinfeld scenes.
I don't like silly cops. Like I don't
Right,
like
right.
I don't like when they're silly security guys.
Right.
And I think that joke went like a little bit right up to the edge. Like it was going like oh, you've got a guy like that too, and I'm like, oh, okay, all right, just
Yeah, right.
like you still have a job. Like this, what is this world? Like, is nobody ever in danger? Like
Right.
that's some like because Marvel has that problem where nobody's ever really in danger, and that's kind of
That's the
it sucks it out of the air, but.
yeah. It's yeah. There's no stakes.
But that was pretty fun. Like I think he delivered that pretty well. That was like a fun little glimpse into that world, and then like you've got a guy too was pretty funny. I still laughed at it, but
It reminded me of the post-credit scene where Quill and his grandpop are like like he's a 40-year-old guy and he wants to meet up. His mom wants to meet him mow his lawn. Why doesn't he mow it? Is he gonna watch me?
yeah. Oh, when he's eating the cereal at the end,
Yeah.
the magic spoon commercial. Yeah,
Yeah. That was great.
yeah, that was funny. I like how they're kind of mocking everybody that sits around for the rest of the credits, and then the ending scene is just, it's
Ending
just
cereal.
It's just Howard the Duck like sitting
Oh,
there.
yeah.
Just, it's just these like, no, it's not
Group
moving.
dancing.
Yeah, it's not Reload, right? It's not the Reload scene again or something like that, where we're like, oh my gosh, what's happening? It's like I'm gonna form the Avengers, When
Reload scene?
when the Colonel was sitting, the very first one, it was like at the end of Iron Man.
When
And Colonel I don't like the
Thunderbolt
Hulk.
Ross.
Thunderbolt Ross was sitting there and he's like, reload. That's how he asks for a shot. And he just keeps like getting a shot and he's like, reload. Like, okay. That's got to get old real fast in that bar, like for somebody to.
Right. It's like, all right, reload. We get it.
I get it.
You were in the war.
But we were all too excited that those two were crossing because that meant that the Incredible Hulk movie happened in the same world as.
Yeah,
as Iron
and then Edward Norton was like, "I want to do this," and they're like, "Well, Universal distributes the movies, and so we can't."
Yeah, he talked about that
make
on
a
like
Hulk
Stern or
movie.
something, right? Like about what happened with Incredible Hulk.
Yeah, and it sucks because it would have been like having just two Hulks. They would have been like the Universal / Marvel Hulk individual movies, and then like what he does with the Avengers, the Disney Marvel movies. That's
so
how
they
the
would-
Hulk character is like owned.
Oh.
Yeah, it's weird. It's like they can put him in anything. They just can't make a solo Hulk movie. Like Disney can't.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
But-
why there's no other solo Hulk movie.
But they did just get the rights to like put it on Disney Plus. So I think like, and then in like another, I don't know. It's like one of those things. But dude, it's ugly over there. Like Iger came in and was like, "What the hell? This Disney Plus thing is a bust." He's like, "We're getting
could've
rid of
told you
things.
that.
We're getting rid of things." I was like, "The whole streaming thing is a bust."
Yeah.
But he kind of like
You had the whole infrastructure with Netflix. You had a deal with Netflix. Just let them run the show.
Like
And
what Sony does.
Just keep charging them more.
Sony's genius. Do you know the like? It's like Spider-Man No Way Home is spoken for until like 2035 on like 3 different streamers, because it's like one signs a 3-year contract, one signs a 5-year contract, and Sony just rakes.
Yeah. Why would you want to run the
They have
wire?
villain movies.
Yeah, like it makes no sense to set the infrastructure and then go in conflict with the guy that was paying you. Like everyone thinks that like, oh, I'll just cut out the middleman. It's like the middleman is doing a lot of the work in the streaming world. Like, and
Yeah.
the great thing is like when your
That's
contract's
so
up, you just
true.
go like, whoops, going over to Max. Oh, what's this new one? Whoops, I'm over at Hulu. You know, I mean, it's
Like, I get it. It's a cool idea to have it like all in one place, but it's like you're
it's such a restricted library.
if you
though.
don't
It's, like,
make
so
it
tiny.
if you don't make it like appointment television for everyone, then and it has to almost be like nightly. You know, like people have to be like, oh, what's on Disney Plus tonight, and that's just not possible now.
Yeah, right, exactly. Yeah.
It's too cluttered.
We're back to the, you know, I mean, I think we've been here for a while, but I think we're back to the situation where you just don't know what to watch. You get fatigue, you know, from looking through all of it, and you're like, what am I going to watch? I just want to go back now. I never thought I would ever want to go back, but I would just love to go back to just, let's just see what's on.
With kids, I feel like it's just too endless. But yeah, I know what you mean. You mean I was like, I love going to the movies because it's like I physically take my body and I sit it in another place, and I sit there and I focus, and every time I'm
salt and fat
and I put the lotion in the basket, and you know, it's wonderful. But it's like that used to be like almost every night with the program that I was looking forward to.
Yeah.
And it's just like not there anymore because you're right. There's just too much.
Well, we thought, you know, it used to be, there was an annoying part of it, right? Because you'd miss things, right?
Yeah.
So like, you're like, oh, it's 7:00. I missed the beginning of the show, right?
Right. That was the big thing. It was like, oh, it doesn't matter now.
And then we could tape it, but then that wasn't too much fun either because you had to make sure everything was set up correctly, and then things could change at the last minute. It could be like on a different channel, or there could be like an emergency news thing or something. Like everything, you know, things could mess up, and then you got to find time to watch that before the next one because you're going to run out of space. Like
I remember Mike and I, my old roommate at Penn State after I graduated when I lived up there. We used the same tape for an entire season of 24 back when there was 24 episodes, and like by episode like 19, just sections of it would just become snow, and like the sound would go, and then it would like doot, it would come back. But
the other, I mean, and like that show specifically for streaming made absolutely no sense. Like if you ever watch that show streaming, you're like, you start the next show like somebody got like beat up, like he was like held up, beat up or something like that, and 3 episodes later they're fine. And I'm like, wait,
that was 3 hours ago.
That was 3 hours ago. That wasn't like, I know it was 3 weeks for me. I had time to forgive him, but you don't. Like
for binging, you mean?
Yeah, like when you watch 24 binging, it was like, how are you guys getting along? Like there's
right. It was cool. They were weird like that. They wrote it as if it was happening, you know, minute to minute, but you watched it week to week.
Yeah.
So the passage of time was, you would accept leaps.
Yeah, you would accept the leap. So but when you streamed it, it broke, or binged it, it broke. It's like that doesn't make any sense. You guys haven't had time to get along. Like you just left that room and you walked out, and then the episode ended and the next episode started 5 seconds later. There's no way that your relationship has changed. Like you haven't had time. You didn't even go to the bathroom yet. And when are you going to the bathroom? Like I don't like, don't you need some, like what if half of an episode was just him go, like he's like, I gotta go use a restroom, and it was just
he's like, Chloe,
just him eating.
I pee once a day for a half an hour. I'm gonna go pee right now. Damn it, Chloe, damn it. And then
Chloe, send a cheeseburger injection to me.
to me. I'm still hoping they they make Batgirl like a Chloe character.
Oh,
Who is
like
always like,
Oracle.
yeah, right?
Okay.
Isn't that what she becomes?
She becomes Oracle when she gets shot by the Joker. Yeah,
Yeah, just keep calling her Batgirl. Oracle's like Matrix
Oracle.
and
Well,
a million other things.
I don't know if it was probably before Matrix.
Yeah, I know, but it just makes me think of Matrix.
Yeah,
That character that they were like,
it's kind of weird to just change your
where are
name
we
all of a sudden
going?
too. Like I think it was like a reveal. I don't know exactly how it happened in the comics, but I think maybe it was like a reveal. So it was like he was calling Oracle and you didn't know who it was, and then you figured out that.
Oh, that's right. It was. Yeah, it was like a secret throughout the episode. You were like, who the heck is this Oracle
But
he's
after
talking
that, after you found out, after it shows up in the comic, I'd just be like, all right, can I just start calling you Barbara? Because it's kind of stupid. This is all sort of stupid. Like we're on a secure thing. You're feeding me tons and tons of secure information. Like, do we really need to like be careful about? Do I
Right,
have
yeah,
do I have
right.
to
If
call you another
someone,
silly code name?
if
Like,
you need a code name, we're in trouble.
yeah,
What did you watch you watched the Adam West show, right?
I've watched some of it. Yeah, I don't
Oh,
think I've
okay.
watched every episode.
Yeah, I was like, you were a little bit younger than me, and I watched it when I was
Well, I didn't
super,
watch it on
super
TV.
young.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
see,
mean
I did
maybe on
when I was
like
like 4.
TV Land or something.
It was like the first TV show I can remember. Like, like as far back as I can remember, it was like the first thing
Yeah,
that I would like get up from the couch to the TV to turn the volume up.
yeah.
And it was like the greatest thing ever. I like couldn't believe it was like a real thing. And then, as you get older, you're like, oh, it was really like ridiculous.
Yeah, but it was the only thing. I mean, like whenever you look back at some of these
Right.
shows, you're like, these are like if you watch the original Star Trek, you're like, well, that's kind of dumb. They're obviously just on a set, and like somebody's moving the
Man,
doors out of the way, you know,
the
and stuff like-
stars, the
Yeah.
stars out the window were like,
yeah, and all the lights were just like, bleep, bleep, like everything was just. But that's not the point. The point is like
yeah, you just gotta make it.
you were on an adventure to watch this thing, and for everybody that was Batman. That's why the Tim Burton Batman was such a big deal, right?
I
Because
took it so seriously. I like, I knew when it was funny, but I also like knew, okay, but this is scary. This is dangerous. And every once in a while in the opening credits, it would, they would do
opening
all the,
credits were phenomenal.
It was like a cartoon, yeah, and
Yeah.
they would do Romero and Burgess Meredith and all the the main
I don't do
villains,
names, but yeah.
all the main villains,
Vincent Price.
and yeah, Julie Newmar, and then all of a sudden Burt Ward, Adam West, and then
Nick,
all of a
I don't know what
sudden
his name.
Cesar Romero, and then all of a sudden Batgirl would ride in on the cycle, and I would be
Oh.
so excited
Oh,
because
yeah, the
she was
Batgirl
so
episodes.
hot in the
Yeah.
purple suit. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh, she was
Oh
so
wait,
hot.
how old were you?
Like 4, dude, like really young. But I remember being like, you know what it was? It wasn't like at the time I was like, oh, she's so hot. But at the time I was like, I just like to look. I just like it when she's around. It's like confirmation. I was like,
You're
I
like,
don't know
whoa,
what it
whoa,
is.
whoa! I need to take off my Huggies. Like this is too much.
She's just neat. I like her. I want to be around.
I would
her.
like her to be my kindergarten teacher. Yeah, that was like.
I mean, I think that kind of was like, that's why I want to be Batman, because it would get me to Batgirl.
Yeah, but that screwed up the whole when they actually did the video of the animated movie of Killing Joke. They added that in there where Batgirl like all of a sudden like makes out with Batman, and it's like really weird. It's like
No.
so odd.
It
It's
feels
like
bizarre. It's like, I know
it's
they're
so
not
bizarre.
related.
It's like
She's
but it's like a stepdaughter. It's like
Commissioner Gordon, right? It
ugh.
would be like making out with your daughter. I don't know.
It was wrong.
It felt weird. And then it
felt
got
really
like,
bad.
and then it was also like, gosh, Batman with women, it's usually like so to the side. And I was like, this is getting too complicated it's like taking over the story.
Yeah. Well, like I mean,
like it.
like Robin was always like Dick Grayson was always sort of like interested in Barbara for a while. I think they dated for a while.
Yeah.
So like that is something.
Good for Dick.
Good for him, you know.
Good for Dick. I
But
like
not
Dick.
for Batman. That just seems weird. I mean, he had he had Catwoman in Earth 2. Like they were kind of, I think they got married and stuff in Earth 2. Um
Oh.
and then Talia al Ghul, right? That he had ended up having Damien with.
Oh yeah. She was in something. Like the Arrowverse, maybe.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, she basically replaced. Yeah, it was supposed to be Roz, right? And then she was in it.
Ra's al Ghul.
Roz. Yeah, yeah.
I forget, but I remember her correcting.
Yeah, because she had the sword and he had to like fight. It was basically like Arrow was Batman for a while. You know, like he had to fight for the sword. He was fighting
Yeah.
like all of Batman's villains.
Yeah, and he
So
talked
weird.
like Batman and
Yeah,
just had a bow and arrow. It was the only difference.
yeah. It was.
In green.
I mean, I liked the Arrowverse. Obviously, I fell off at some point, but it's not like Smallville was like all that right before it. Like Smallville also had its Smallville's formula was get excited for the finale, get excited for the finale, get excited for the finale. The finale comes, he punches him. Like that was like it was like some.
He doesn't
crappy,
fly around in the suit.
No, it was just like some crappy Doomsday. Doomsday shows up. It's like, oh my gosh, it's Doomsday, and he's like, punch, and Doomsday's like, ah. It's like, all right. Well, I'm glad we got really worried about that. I'm glad punching works.
But that's, again, Superman. The rules around him are weird. Like and Batman. People, the like the rights and shit. It's around Superman and Batman. It's crazy.
Oh yeah,
dude. It's crazy. But it's also like zillions of dollars. So,
no, I'm sure people have
yes.
died. Like like people have definitely been murdered over Batman and Superman. Like
It's crazy, man. It's like American gold or like more than that.
yeah.
Like throughout our history, like, I'm always like in like 100 years, 300 years, 400 years, what will they know about comic book characters?
Yeah. It's a
They're
real
still
shame.
around.
I mean, like,
Will they just be like the Greeks? Like, were the Greeks like their comics, like the gods, like Zeus and all that?
yeah,
Was that just kind of like their comic book characters?
sort of. Yeah. I mean, I don't think it wasn't published, right? But it was kind
On the
of
walls?
Yeah. I don't know I mean, maybe they had more advanced technology and it just all got washed away in Atlantis or something. I don't know. I have
what was
no idea
believed.
about history, but
Okay, hold on. I want to jump back to DC and the Superman
go right
cast.
ahead. Yeah.
Cast
Well, we were
members.
talking about Green Lantern, but yeah.
Right. So Guy Gardner.
By the way, I would have argued with that.
What?
For Guy Gardner,
Nando had a little weird argument, but he's like, I think I know what he's doing. But at first he was like, I don't know why you're putting him in a Superman movie.
well, with
Girl too.
No, Guy Gardner played a big role with Doomsday arriving. Like it was like him and Booster Gold. They got like almost the most beat up from if I'm remembering it right. But Guy Gardner has like a really hot temper. He's kind of like a redhead. I would have probably put Bill Burr in the role.
Oh man. See, I can't. I wouldn't put Bill.
But
Bill
then
Burr in any role.
also make him wear the wig with the split hair thing he would just look so
and he would be
stupidly
perfect.
ridiculous, but he would be perfect in it.
Like Bill Burr's Philly rant, like that is like Guy
Yeah.
Gardner. Like he's this angry Irish
Yeah.
hothead.
You put him in like the vest.
Boston.
Yeah, the vest. Oh my god.
Yeah,
He would look
yeah.
so stupid,
I do,
but
like
be so angry that he looks so stupid that it would actually enhance his character.
yeah.
I mean, he did good in Mando. I mean, he took
did,
it
he did.
seriously. I think he acted really well. Like that was the most suspenseful scene in Mando.
Yeah,
I would
the
say.
face and his line that you could tell. It's almost like, did he write that? He's like, everybody has their morals and their values until it compromises their own agenda, or you know what I mean. Like he says something about how everyone's got the rules until you gotta make an exception to it.
Right. No, it was good.
Is it your mask? Can you wear another mask? Like it's so silly.
Yeah.
It was great.
Yeah,
But I just
think it was
see
really good,
him.
yeah.
Like I'm just like I'm glad that he's doing good, but I'm like that's Bill Burr standing out in a Star Wars movie for me.
Yeah.
Um, damn it.
I wouldn't have expected it. Like I thought he was actually going to take me out of it, but I'm sorry. You were gonna
Yeah, he
you were
took
going
me
back
out
to
of
this.
it.
You were going back to the Superman. You were saying Green Lantern and then Hawkman.
It like took me out of it, but I was also like, okay, whatever. No, did you see the trailer for Napoleon with Joaquin Phoenix?
No,
Dude.
he's going to be Napoleon.
Yeah,
Uh,
I know. Caesar and Napoleon and the Joker. Like the three
oh, all in
most
the same movie.
No,
I'd watch
that's
that
who
movie.
he's
I would
played.
watch it. I would watch it.
He was Caesar in Gladiator, and he was the Joker, and now he's going to be Napoleon. There's this scene, dude, that
He
like
wasn't Caesar.
yes, he was.
No, that was just the name of
Right,
like,
yeah,
like he
like the
wasn't
king.
Julius Caesar. He
Right,
was,
right. But he played like a king.
Aurelius, like Augustus. No, he was whatever. It doesn't matter. He wasn't Julius though, right?
Right, not Julius, but a Caesar, like a king.
Yeah.
He there's this scene where like his troops are on like a grass hill. You know,
Okay.
like they're standing on top of it, and there's all this other army, this crazy army, like lined up facing them on like the other side of this like field covered in snow. Everything's covered in snow,
Yeah.
and Napoleon.
The Russians, right?
Napoleon, I think, yeah. So
as I've entered my 40s, I now know history.
right, yeah, I've started
Becoming
learning
history buff.
retaining information, and Napoleon just goes like this, and the Russians start charging, and they're charging, and they're charging, and they're getting really, really close, and Napoleon's men are like, "What are we doing?" And he goes, "Now," and they throw like boulders, and it's freaking ice. And the ice breaks, and all the Russians fall into the freezing cold water. I was like, why didn't anybody teach me this? This is amazing. Like, all they did was talk about how short he is and how he was an asshole.
There you go. Just imagine that while we're falling asleep at St. Jude, right? Like they're writing that up on the board, and it's like, and then Napoleon threw a giant boulder into a frozen lake, and the Russians all drowned and froze inside of it. Okay. Now in 1885, it's like, wait, what?
Right. I would like a whole movie about that, please. So I was like, oh, it looks really neat. It looks, it looks like
It's probably like embellished like a bit for
yeah,
like the excitement level of the
course.
strategy,
of course. But I think it's like the age old tale. Like all these men from like the wars, some woman told him like, you're just a bitch. And he was like, I'm not a bitch. I'm gonna fucking start a country. Like there's so many guys like throughout history that like were kind of like slapped in the face by a woman.
Yeah.
And they turned around and like changed history.
I'll show her.
Yes, that's what it is. Like Dick Cheney.
I watched the movie Downfall, which was like the last few weeks of Hitler, like in the like hiding away in his bunker.
Oh yeah, I
and,
think
like,
I saw like an ad for that.
that was rough. I mean, it's not new, but I think it was like
No.
2018 or something like that.
Yeah, but it like popped up on my thing, and I was like,
It was
I-
intense.
I-
it
I
was
thought
all
of
in
the-
German. It was like,
I thought of the Seinfeld episode. I'm like, Hitler's last days here, Jerry.
yeah, it was.
I thought you were like Hitler in the bunker.
It was intense. It was intense. It was weird.
Do you like feel bad? Like, is there any sort of like, yeah, you fucked up so bad, and he was like, oh, what did I do? Like, was there any?
No, there wasn't any of that. It was more along the lines of like everybody's failed me.
So on the spectrum.
And kind of like regretting that it's over. But it was also really in depth of like the belief that people had in him, like which was kind of rough. And then like some of the generals that had to go out and keep fighting, he's like, well, you're just not fighting hard enough, or you're not, doing enough. Like we can't let Berlin fall. Like you need to be out there fighting. It's because you're failing. So it was kind of
And these people were just like obsessed with him.
yeah.
Why?
Yeah, but they were like sad too. Like they were like sad, But it's like, ugh, it's just It was good. I mean, it was good. Like the
It was well
acting is
done.
phenomenal. Like you're not pulled out of it by anything. Like if you're in it, you're not eating you're not eating dinner while watching it. like
No,
you're
no,
not
no, no,
like,
no,
oh,
no.
okay, like I'm gonna pause it and go get some more popcorn. Like you're kind
Did
of
you watch it with Kelly?
it's a heavy one. No, I watched it on my own.
Okay, yeah, I was gonna say that doesn't seem like you went. Hey, you want to watch this together?
No, that would be another Lincoln.
That would definitely not be what
Where
I
it's
would do.
like are we gonna watch Lincoln? I'm not in the mood. I'm like, we're never gonna be in the mood to watch a movie
Yeah.
about
No,
slavery and the
no,
Civil War.
I disagree. I think, and I'm so glad
Not as a
you brought
couple.
this up. I'm so glad you brought this up because I'm noticing more and more like my freaking mood and like the way that I like physically feel in a day will will ruin or like really help out my experience watching a movie
Hmm.
to the point where like I like a movie that like other people don't like because I just had a good time while I was watching it.
Hmm.
And then there's times where I don't have a good time watching it and I'll get through like 2/3 of it and I'll be like, this is so stupid and this is so bad and I'm just not in the mood for this sad crap. And there's kids getting murdered and I'm like, I'm not there for that right now. But then like other times I am.
Yeah.
And it's like if I think about that more before I start a movie, I usually can like enjoy it so much more. Like I saw Asteroid City and I was always like, Wes Anderson's unique, but he's so strange. And I don't even know if like it always felt like his movies just never finished. Like it was always just like you were just always like in seeing a part of something and then moving on to a part of something else.
Yeah.
And I kind of like was keeping that in mind when I went and I saw this. And that's kind of how the movie is. And it was good. It was funny and it was weird and strange and so simple. And like I understood the metaphoric, the metaphor. Uh, and it was cool. But I was like, if I was going into this being like, it's a comedy, I would have been furious. I wasn't
Oh,
like going into it thinking it was going to be funny because his other movies are funny.
sure, but I'm saying, what if you add it together with with Heather, right? Like you both have to be in that mood to
Yes,
enjoy
yes,
it. You know what I
yes,
mean?
yes, yes,
So
yes, yes.
so so when it came to deciding something like Lincoln, it
Oh
was
yeah.
it was like, are we in the mood for this? And it's like, well, I'm fine. Like me personally, I'm fine to watch it whenever I want to see it. Like I want to see the acting scale, and I want to hear like
Yeah, I
Lincoln
mean,
write
Spielberg
letters
and Daniel
and
Day-Lewis
yeah, I just want to see Daniel Day Lewis just like I
be
would just watch and
pretend
drink
to be
coffee as
Lincoln,
Lincoln. Like I don't care. Like it could just be him in the
do the
lot.
dishes after Thanksgiving as
Yeah,
Lincoln.
right. I just want to, yeah, just do anything, but just do it as Lincoln, and I will watch it. Like it's like Daniel Day Lewis does Lincoln, cuts his grass. I'd be like, how long is it? 3 hours. I'm there. Like it doesn't matter.
Yeah,
Like I just want to see more of the acting, right?
yeah,
Because like that's the thing that amazes me.
yeah.
Not, I mean, not that the story and the set and everything else didn't make it amazing, but when somebody commits that far to something, it's like
Does it amaze you because you can do it and you
I
know
can't
how
do
hard
it.
it is?
I can't
Yes,
do
you
it.
can. You've
There's
done it.
no way
There's
I can
there's
act like that.
hours of footage of you holding a different character for many minutes in
Yeah,
a scene.
but not like that.
That's what I'm saying. That's why
That
that's why you're so
okay,
impressed by it because you
fine.
know you know like a piece of what energy it takes. Remember when you just did all the intros?
Yeah.
You were dead. You had to like lay down.
Yeah.
And like, so it's like you kind of know what it's like to be like not you and there's like this extra thing going on. So,
But I don't but I guess I'm more amazed at the fact that you can do it slowly. Like all of those I did with high energy,
yeah,
right?
right,
So
cuz you can kind of hide a lot.
to be able to pause and just go slow through a line and be like, "Yes, I remember that." Like just I don't know.
No, well, I
And
mean,
and also like the little mannerisms, like when I think he's like a method actor, right? Like he gets in it and then he doesn't leave it unless I think there was like a clip of him like losing his mind on somebody making a beeping noise or something like that. But it's like,
No, they say he stays in character, but he's like nice. But he's just like he does the scene, and then he's like, all right, I'm gonna go talk. I'm gonna go walk over there, and he just like kind of like goes to his trailer by himself. That's what like someone who's been interviewed I heard recently say.
so it's just, I mean that like yeah. So I just like that just like I like the movie I mentioned last time we talked, the one Once Upon a Time in the West. It was just
Oh yeah,
characters who stay the characters, who don't leave the characters, who say very little. Like that's my thing. I love that. So if Napoleon's going to be like that, where it's slow, and I believe it is because Joker was like that, right? And so was
yeah.
Gladiator. It's slow, very specific dialogue is chosen, and only enough to move things along. Like that's what I like. I want to figure like I think the thing is I don't like movies preaching to me or having to like just spoon feed me the plot. Like, oh, okay, the Flash needs some energy every once in a while. He runs around a lot, and we're gonna make a red light on his wrist, so he needs to eat.
And
And
we'll never go back to
you
him.
know what I mean? It's like, and we'll never go. Yeah, we'll never go back
It's
to it
such a
either.
big deal.
And it's like, oh my gosh, and it's just.
I hear you.
Like I just want something without messages in it. I just want to know a story. Just tell me a story. Can you just do that? It's not that hard.
Like what kind of message? Like what is? And I know what you mean, but I'm trying to think of like a good example, but none are popping in.
Like even like the Batman in the Lasso of Truth. Like, yes, it was a funny scene, but it also is very un-Batman. First of all,
Right.
Batman's like running around during the day, which I know they commented on, but that doesn't make it okay. You can't just say like, "What's Batman doing out in the day?" Ha ha ha. Like that's not Batman's at night. He's
Right.
not scary
Yeah, that's
during the
so
day. Like
true.
it's
I
like
never,
so
I never
dumb.
thought about that. He did look weird, but it did look cool.
And it also didn't make sense that he was the one,
Skipping around.
chasing a car, which I'm pretty sure the Flash probably could have disabled and been back to the babies in like a flash. Right. I mean, like it just, and also like police died along the way. Like it was like really like the police cars flipped. I'm assuming they died. I don't think many people would flip like that and be okay. And Batman was just like, oh man, these guys are just causing trouble today. And then at the end of it, to joke, it's like somebody died. Like this wasn't a good day. Like this wasn't like funny. And then the Batman giving away all my money to the poor. It's like that doesn't solve poverty either. So that's kind of like a weird thing for him to say. For the most like one of the most intelligent DC characters
they should
to
have
say.
cut it. They should have cut it at my ego is too massive to thank anyone for helping me. Because Ben Affleck said it, and the
It would have
camera
been
was
funny
like
if he was
looking up his
surprised by it.
nose. Like he looked so stupid.
Yeah.
And then if he was like, whoa, whoa, and then like shook the the lasso off.
Yeah, and they were just like, you got some things to work out. He's like, I always have things to work out. And he just like walked away or something like that. That would have been funny. Yeah, if it was just on
But it's
the
so
character.
ironic. It's so ironic for millionaire movie makers to talk about spreading their money around.
I know. It's
It's
like,
like, why don't you back off?
yeah, if I just gave, like, people have said that to like Elon Musk and stuff too, like where it's just,
He's like,
oh, if he just gave all this money to everybody, then everybody would be fine. It's like,
then what would motivate anyone to produce anything?
it's not even just that. It's that like, it's just like winning the lottery, right? Like everyone thinks like winning the lottery. Like, I'm sure everybody ran out and played Powerball. It's like you go out and do it, and once you get it, what happens then? For the most part, your life becomes hell.
Yeah, I've never really heard anyone like everything changed for the better.
The only people
bothered me.
it works best for is the people that are quiet, the people that are already settled in what they like, and then they only do the things that they like, and they lock the money away in something that they can't get to it.
Yeah, or the people that are already like billionaires.
Yeah.
that
What
own, like-
would you do? What would you do if you won 100, like, let's say $1 billion?
Take care of my parents, not like they're not okay, but like, get them help and shit around the house, like whatever they would want. Maybe a place, obviously, down here. Uh, I'd probably get a really cool place in like every, not like major
Ecosystem.
city. Yeah, right. Like every hemisphere.
Cold place, a warm
Yeah, like
place, a
no, but
place where nobody speaks English.
I would get like an igloo. I would get like a tree hut. I would get like like a teepee, like a giant one.
Okay. Well, TP's going to set you back, so.
I think the majority, no, like it's so impossible, but I think the majority of my money would be putting places, finding places in the world and making like mansions there where like all of my friends, just my friends, can come and hang out.
But how are we going to coordinate that? Like it's a good thought. I get what you're saying. Like
You don't need to
I
coordinate it.
agree.
You just go whenever you want. It's my house. Like
Oh,
that's how
okay.
you coordinate
All
it.
right,
It's like
all right.
24/7, carte blanche. There's probably like five or six men who I would hand the key to that house to. Those
We would
houses,
get like a
7
like a
keys.
black card or something, like a steel, a titanium card, and we'd hand that to. It would be like John Wick. Like we'd hand like a coin to somebody, and they would just be like, "You
No,
are here now," and they
no,
would just take us and put us in a
no. It
tube
would
to
be like a skeleton head. No, a lion's head. It would be a lion's head, like a
yes,
key, a gold key, like in Zelda, a
yeah,
lion. It would be a
okay,
golden lion head
yeah,
key.
like the first Zelda. Okay,
Just
yeah,
two little things, like just plain key
just a
that anybody
Mortice
could
lock. Yeah, okay.
anybody could break into. Um, yeah, I just think there's so many stupid little things that like I like to smoke pot. I like to see movies. I like to.
I know,
That's
but
like
you're talking like
that's
you
like all I like to spend my money on. So I'm
yeah.
like, I don't even know. I don't even know. I just wouldn't have to worry about that stuff and bills and all that
Well, yeah,
crap.
I think the not working is a nice thing,
Yeah,
right?
and
Like that would be like the first thing.
I mean, and it's like I have a hobby that really takes a lot of time to do good, to do well.
Yeah.
Like making videos, like the things that I really want to do, I don't have the time for. It's just impossible.
Well, I mean, you could
But
pay
then I
somebody
would.
to do that just on the interest.
Yeah, but I don't want to pay somebody to do it. I don't, that would be like, here's my idea, go paint it. I have to like do all everything before and the afters, the pre and post. Uh, but I don't have time to like do anything longer than
Well, that's what
5-minute
that's
videos.
what it comes down to, though, right? The time,
Yeah, right.
right?
So if I was a
Because
billionaire,
then,
then I'd have unlimited time. I
well,
mean, technically not
yeah,
unlimited, but
technically not, yeah, but
I would have all of the time I would need to, spend 8 hours on one 20-minute
yeah, but you
video.
could still oversee how something would get edited or something, right? Like you could say like I want it like this, and the person would have to do it the way you like it.
Yeah. Yeah. But I couldn't do that until like I had income from it.
Why do you need
You know,
income?
because I'm not going to pay someone while I can do it. And it's
But
like,
you're a
what if?
billionaire. Like I
Oh,
don't
no!
understand.
I thought you were talking about now.
Oh.
Yeah, of course. Oh my god! I know. When I'm a billionaire, we have a
Sorry,
studio.
I didn't know
We
we
have a
didn't
studio
we
twice the
left
size.
the lottery.
We have a studio twice the size of Rogan's. We don't have ugly lighting or weird neons on the wall. We have like the coolest studio. Like it makes Stern Studio. It makes it all look like garbage. And yeah, we have editors and producers and
And
sound
still
guys.
zero people watching, but we'll just
Yeah, right. No, that'll be just it. It'll just be fun. And it's like, well, we could just sit on the porch like a couple of fucking idiots, or we could record this and leave it behind for some people.
yeah.
A person, maybe an estranged kid.
Yeah.
Probably not. But
Yeah, I don't know.
we're pretty good. We probably don't have any estranged kids.
I don't think so. I think yeah. I mean, I always get worried because what happens is like people come out of the woodwork and stuff, right? So you get like people calling you and asking you for money, and like
Right.
strangers are finding you and stuff like that. Like that's the part that scares me. Like so,
Oh
if you
well,
ever
yeah, strangers. Yeah.
if you ever like buy a ticket, it's like it's almost like scary because it could change things really bad, right? Like you almost want to become. I mean, you obviously I think would want to become like rich quietly,
Yeah.
not rich publicly, right?
Right. Yeah, that's another thing. It's like, well, I wouldn't want to go buy a lot of things because I just always remember that scene in Seinfeld when Kramer wins the horse. Remember the mutter? His mutter is a mutter.
Oh yeah,
And then those two guys just follow, and I'm like, why are they follow? Oh, and then I'm like, oh, and I was like, people. Then when I was waiting tables, people would wait not for us, but I remember waiters who would wait in like Disney World or expensive places where they'd walk out with like $2,000 or like $1,000 in their pocket in a night, and people would wait in the parking lot and try and rob them.
oh
It's like,
man, really?
yes. So they would always have to leave with like a guy.
Oh, that's crazy.
I know,
But
but it's like people are walking out of there with cash.
yeah, I'd be like,
Gross.
deposit. Like,
Yeah,
can we put a bank in Disney World that stays open so I can
yeah,
just deposit this
right.
and not worry about walking to my car? That seems like a better solution than hiring a guy. Like, just
I
put a
feel like
bank here.
they're
Other
close to that.
other people could use it. Um, yeah, yeah, that's kind of crazy.
But along with Hawk Girl, who
Oh
I
yeah,
know I know nothing about, um, Mr. Terrific, Mr. Terrific, and then Mr. Metamorphosis
Metamorpho.
Metamorpho. Yes, played by the guy
That's
who's
another
like
good one for Bill Burr.
the guy who's pale. Well, they got like I think he's a comedian, but he's in Barry, and he's got like the white
Oh.
no eyebrows. I think he was in Fringe.
Oh yeah, yeah. The guy that I think he's just doing an impersonation of his wife. Like if in Barry, like if you see his wife, like they had like an interview together. I just showed Kelly this the other night because I
Who's
was
his
watching it.
wife?
I don't know. It's
Nobody
just
famous.
no. It's just some lady, but her accent is identical. Like the way she speaks in the interview. Like I think he was almost trying to like quiet her, not in a mean way, but I think he was just trying to like keep it short because I think he's just doing an impression of her and Barry.
His accent is weird. It's almost like not an accent. It's like Johnny Depp's. It's like kind of made up.
I think it's like I think this is similar to like Mike Myers doing Doctor Evil, but Doctor Evil was actually just
Lauren.
Lauren Michaels, right? So
Right.
right. So
Nope.
I think this is I think his character in Barry is like a one off. He was also Zaz, right? He was also Zaz in the Batman Begins. Um
I forget. I just
like
remember him in Fringe.
it was very brief, but he was Zaz.
He had the black
Um
hat.
no, like with all the cuts like all over his face and stuff. Um
I'm kind of remembering.
he like they never I don't think they ever said he was Zaz. I think he just got out when everything broke out of Arkham.
Okay, yeah, yeah. I'm
He
remembering
was
that
running
now.
around and uh, hurting kids. Um,
Oh, that's good.
so I think that was like his breakout role. Yeah, yeah. I could see him being a good metamorpho. He's already bald. I think he's got propecia or what do you call the? He can't grow hair.
He has Jada Pinkett. Alopecia.
Yeah, without the attitude. Uh, she got so angry. I don't remember her being that angry before.
I know. I was always like,
Like
when super
people get a
famous
podcast and they
people,
get angry.
and just when famous people marry famous people and they're pretty, it's like, how can you do it? Like Tom Holland and Zendaya, I'm like, and he's like a year and a half sober. I was like 27. I was like, I guess you can keep that going. I guess he's not too young to try that. It's just weird.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not weird. It's just like, all right, do you really have your head on that straight?
Wait, what's going on? Maybe I'm not following.
Oh, like Tom Holland, Spider-Man. He
Mhm.
did an interview, like a podcast for like an hour and 50 minutes. Like they did like he did like a long, which he never does anything like that. He always does like the crap, canned network things.
Right, right.
And he talks about how he's been sober for like a year and a half.
Oh, he was a drunk?
well, see,
That
that's
wasn't the proper way to say that, but
but
especially after
see,
I'm a beer in. So.
but that's the thing. It's like Bill Burr. Speaking of Bill Burr, he hasn't had a drink in like 3 years. These guys that like weren't alcoholics, but were like, I think it's just not for me. They just stop,
Yeah.
and but it's not like they had like a problem. It's like they had a problem, but they were also good at like masking it. I guess.
Yeah, well, it's also probably like they would probably show up to a place and that's what somebody would offer, like as
Yeah.
a gift, right? Like it's
Yeah.
like, oh, let me get you a drink, like let me buy you a drink, like that, just as a kind gesture, but it probably adds up,
Right.
like and Bill especially doing the,
Stand up.
the circuit of different bars basically.
Right.
It was probably like he probably got paid in those in the early days. Like he probably got paid in beers, in
Yeah.
some places. So,
I mean, most of those guys have like alcohol in their, the
well, look at Johnny
green
Depp, right? Like
room.
Johnny Depp was having that goblet or whatever,
Mega pint.
mega pint, right? Like,
Mega pint.
yeah, I mean, like, so you can easily slip down that path. I mean, even during COVID, I remember drinking like whiskey because there wasn't like anything else to do. And I was like, my face is getting red, like my face is like
Oh,
hurting,
yeah.
I'm like, maybe like, and I wasn't drinking that much. I was just like having like a glass like now and then, like once a week maybe, but it was like, but I was like getting a reaction to it, and I'm like, maybe I always get this reaction. Like even now, like my face feels like a bit warm,
Yeah, I
and
get
I
that
had
too.
like one beer, so
Yeah.
it's yeah, like so I can understand stopping, that's fine.
Yeah, I
You're
know.
you're not born again because you stop drinking. Like you can stop. Like alcohol is a dangerous thing. So
It's so funny and it's so crazy. Think about this. Imagine this. We live in a
as I take
world,
a sip,
and we've been living in the world. Alcohol has not been a thing yet. It hasn't been invented yet. We're just alcohol that we drink to get drunk. All the other stuff, antiseptics, it's fine. Hand sanitizer.
I'm excited to see where this is going. Please.
Imagine someone invents it now and is like, I have this thing and it just makes you so like goofy and silly. There is no way anyone would approve it.
Oh sure.
They would be like, get your weird poison liquid QAnon shit out of here.
What does the QAnon thing mean? People keep saying QAnon. I don't even know what that means.
Dude, I think QAnon, the person, was just a troll on
It was a
Reddit.
person?
Well, I mean, it was someone whose username was QAnon, anonymous. And and I think they were trolling, but the morons, the inbreds and the rednecks just like all got behind it, and it became like a thing that really doesn't mean anything. It just means like we voted for Trump. It's basically all it means.
Oh, that's what it means.
And we think
okay.
Biden is a lizard.
Everybody keeps using it, and I'm like, I don't know what that means. Like, I don't know what adjacent means. I mean, I know what adjacent means, but I don't know what QAnon adjacent means. I don't really get it. So I was trying to understand.
It's like anti-vax, anti-facts.
People can be anti whatever they want. Doesn't mean they're idiots. Like it's just people can be anti. People can decide to do whatever they need to do.
Right.
That's
just
that's the fun part about living. Everybody
right.
gets to decide shit.
It's when people go, I'm this way and fuck you. It's like, I don't give a shit. I don't care. As long as you don't shoot anyone, stab anyone, or rape anyone, or rob anyone. 10 Commandments, maybe.
10 Commandments. There you go. Right. Yeah. I'm not religious. It's like, yeah. Okay, fine.
Fine rules.
Then just take them and call them rules. Like
they're 10 guidelines. It's like, this is basically the peak of humanity, how to kind of not
boiled it down. They boiled it down many years ago. They wrote it down.
They even
were
made
like
an edit halfway to delivering it. They were like, you know what? Just half of them. It's overboard. We went too far. Cut it in half. Oops. It's like when they took the off of Facebook.
Yeah.
Just Facebook.
But yeah, I mean, yeah, so many things are like that too. I mean, like even cars. I mean, even if you just looked at the statistics, it's like alcohol causes like most domestic violence, like most fighting, most shootings and things like that,
Everybody's drunk.
and then everybody else gets hit by a car.
Yeah.
So what do we do?
Or
Do we get rid of alcohol and cars? You know what I mean? Like,
Yes.
but if it came out today, you'd probably be like, all right, we're going to give everybody a metal box that can go 150 miles an hour. Now, I know we've all been riding horses up until now.
It's a ton or two.
Yeah.
It's tonnage on wheels.
I know we've been walking around, and we're not going to make them small. We decided to start with a Lincoln Navigator, which is the most irregular sized, like whatever a parking spot size is, they used every inch for this. And when it comes to being able to use one, we're going to say 16, 15, 15, 16, something around there. Right when you're in the most mature, locked in, know everything about yourself. Brain's fully developed, no emotions, ready to go.
No maturity problems. You're there. You're ready. Let's go.
It's not like you'll be driving to high school or anything and just be acting crazy the whole time.
Yeah, with all other people the same age, the same mental capacity.
So there's tons of things like that, It's like,
I hate cars. I hate car rides. I hate car rides now. I'm like, God, it's so rare. I have a new car, and I'm like, God, I just wish there was something else. I wish there was I wish we were.
Did you get the Farfignugan?
We didn't have the ability to do this. I got a CRV, sweet one.
There we go. We're driving the same car.
Timberwolf. Yes, I finally don't have a Toyota. It's like the first time in my life. But Timberwolf Gray is the color. And I was like, that means a lot.
I think when the Pope was here in Philly, it was actually a really cool scene because they shut down all of Center City. They shut down like all the Parkway, all of Center City, no cars allowed.
What is his name? Francis?
Yeah, it was when Pope Francis came. Yeah.
Okay.
And
nice.
It was a cool scene. It was like everybody was just
down. I like that.
Walking
I like when
around.
things get shut down. I'm like, oh, good.
It was like
I don't have to.
It was like I Am Legend. It was like walking. It was almost like trees started growing more, and like there was just a wild deer walking around Market Street. No,
cars and plant life.
But everybody was just walking around, and everybody just kind of like looked at each other, and it's like, oh, it's so nice and quiet.
Yeah, I remember hearing someone say like, our brains are not like, to go from Philly to Florida in 2 hours is like there's part of us that is like, that should take away. This should be not this quick. I shouldn't be here already.
I know it's like
your nose
and you just get hit with the heat. You're like, what is happening?
Your nose starts to bleed.
Yeah.
All right, man.
So rough.
You got anything else? I am. I'm nearing my back's limit here.
I think the only thing that I wanted to leave you with was just that I think the more after the last time we talked, the more time I spent thinking about The Flash, I think I hate every second of it.
And it's so funny because I even talked to my shrink about this. I was like, I came away with such a revelation about when you and I talk about movies that I'm so like confused why it took me so long to like get to this part, that you and I, just like everybody, watch movies so differently, but it's been the one thing that like we've always bonded over from like the beginning of our friendship. Yeah. It's always been like this thing, but we look at them so differently. You're an engineer who looks at it and is like, I would fix this, I would fix this. Right. And with The Flash, obviously, I can sit there with you and do it, but like that's not what I do immediately. Immediately, I'm just like, oh, cool! I can't believe it's happening. I can't believe they even made it. And that's like the difference, and that's what like we need to just keep leaning into, because I think that's way more interesting than like, you liked it, me too.
Well, I mean, I'll say this though, I do come into it thinking I'm really excited for this. Like I love the
Yeah, no,
Flash.
I know. I don't
I
think you
love the
go
Flash
into
character,
anything being like, I'm not gonna like it.
but for me, it's like I start at 100, and
Yeah,
then
and then you go down
and then
because
as soon as Ezra Miller comes on the screen, I'm like, ugh, like I'm like already down to 90. I'm like, okay, all right, like let's just okay. It's a little jokey. Barry Allen wasn't really like a jokey Flash, but okay, like this is supposed to be like a serious movie about like his mother's death, and like okay, but we got to keep it jokey a little bit, okay, because that's, I think Thor sort of maybe Iron Man, but mainly like when the Ragnarok came out, everything got redefined as it has to be funny, like it has to be extremely jokey through the whole thing, like everybody's got to be these like
yeah, what he did was
babbling.
yeah, it was like I don't know. It's like when when a dumb trend goes because one thing worked because they made Thor not like this kind of boring like
I liked Thor Ragnarok. I
for
thought it
once
was
it came.
fun.
Me too. That's what I'm saying. I'm
I
like
think they had
that.
to lighten Thor up because Thor was so boring in the first movie.
That's what I'm
The
saying.
second movie I thought was actually, I don't know, people hate the second movie. I actually liked the second movie. I thought that was pretty good.
I like them both.
I'm sure there's some plot holes in it. Like the ending was kind of weak, but all in all, I think I liked Rene Russo in it, honestly. I think
I like her a lot.
I think that was my favorite part. And then the jokey part of Ragnarok was kind of like a rebirth for Thor. So I was like, that's cool. Like this is pretty fun.
That's why it worked for Thor.
Yeah.
It kind of like had to happen. It was like we need to make him cooler and kind of like make fun of himself because we're all like Thor's.
He was like marble, right? Like he was like inflexible. It was
Yeah,
like I am a god and I am here and I am Thor,
it's like the
god
long
of like
blonde hair.
he
It's like
can't like announce himself 16 times in a movie, like eventually I'm like, okay,
yeah,
fine. Like I'm kind of rooting for the guy with the laser beam metal face to just zap you and you don't get your powers back. Like there was no reasoning, right? Like there was no
yeah.
growth in like the first movie. He was just got expelled and then he kind of hung out in a coffee shop and now he's not. Now he's better for some reason. Like it wasn't it was like it was
I'll have another.
the other thing was it was also kind of I equate the first Thor movie to be more like a teen drama where they're like trying to fix somebody who is already super hot,
Yeah,
and they're like, oh, like if you just believe in yourself, like you'll be hot.
right,
And
right.
it's like he's like he's
Yeah.
chiseled, like he's got all the features, all the masculine features. He's got
Yeah.
all of them.
Yeah,
They're
right.
all there,
Yeah,
you know? And to have it be like, all right, like he needs to grow, and it's like, all right, well, he's sort of like perfect, and I get that the movie's like the whole point is that he's like he thinks he's perfect,
He's a
and the
brat.
only thing he has to do is stop thinking that he's perfect, and that then he actually is perfect. Kind of just conflicts with itself, right? So
Right.
the first one was kind of boring, and the second one was a bit more. I thought it was a bit fun, and then the Ragnarok was fun, but then everything can't just be goofy like that. Like they need to figure out how to do funny in DC movies because the DC movies are like super dark, like you've got Wolverine, Superman, Batman is somehow Superman, you know, Wonder Woman
anymore.
is like there, I don't know, and sort of selfish, like she kind of molested like some guy in the 1984 movie.
And the '84 movie was the dumbest movie I've ever sat through. I was like, this is still going.
Oh my gosh, he just kept going. And they were like, I'm going to make a sky beam and I've got a little monkey paw I'm going to wish things on. Like, I'm like, this is not going to work. Like,
Yeah, the Skybeam versus Skybeam thing. I was like thinking about that. I'm like, that's why I loved Endgame because it wasn't a Skybeam. Tony like tricked him.
yeah.
It was like I missed it. The first time I watched it, I was like, what the fuck? How
No,
did that even happen?
I didn't know it was going to happen.
I
Yeah.
had to like watch it again and be like, oh, they took the stones when he was messing with him.
Well, they didn't make it obvious, right?
The
Like
beam against the beam. It's like,
like you knew that the stones were being, they showed the scene where the stones moved on the nanotech earlier.
right.
And they
when they were
they
putting it
didn't
together.
they didn't force feed you like remember this, right? Which they do in a lot of movies, like Tony's icing up. Remember this, which we needed the first time. The first time we didn't know what the formula was, right?
Right.
But then every other Marvel movie after that was like, remember this.
Mhm.
Remember this for the third act. Remember this for the third act. And you're like, okay, I get it. I've seen this movie before. Like, I just want to have a good time. So just don't tell me what's happening in the third act already. I'm gonna watch it either way. Like, I'm here. I might have to pee. So give me that boring part right between the second and third so I can go pee. You seem to build that into your movies where everyone's sitting around talking about something for a while. Like, all right, guys,
Get
like,
over the bad thing.
we're all just going to pretend to pick up Thor's hammer for like 25 minutes. It's like, okay, this is the pee scene. I can go. You know,
I love that scene.
I know that was actually a great scene, but
Hulk's like,
ah.
he like couldn't do it. And then Cap like budged it. Thor was like, You see, like even there, like he had his hair like pulled back. I was like, yeah, he looks better. He doesn't look so like fake Thor. Like, all right, he doesn't need to look exactly like the comic book. Make him look like a person walking around today.
And I like when they would have conversations, like even like when they talked about the elevator being worthy and stuff like that, right? Like I thought that was smart, like it wasn't like too much. It didn't break the world or anything like that. It was just, they're just kind of like, why wouldn't those be questions? Like, and I get those are from like a Reddit forum or something like that, but
fanboy.
It's good. It's good that they kind of bring it that way, right? But
right, because it's like, why wouldn't they ask those questions? It's like they're supposed to be here. They would think these things, like they're not that, they wouldn't insult our intelligence. That's what I kind of look at it like when Thor's like, Earth has wizards now. It's like, well, yeah, he would say that. He would just say he doesn't know the word Sorcerer Supreme.
Right, exactly. I mean, yeah. So for DC, I just hope they kind of get back to the actual formula of the main three, and then build off of that. I did see the Blue Beetle trailer.
Again, not part of the DCU. That kid will play Blue Beetle in the DCU, but that movie is not it's not connected to any of the James Gunn stuff.
Look, I don't.
Just letting you know.
It's
like, okay, if you're going to judge DC's future on this movie, you should not, because James Gunn and Peter Safran had nothing to do with it. So like, all the production, all the people in charge.
No, I get it. I get that they already wrapped it up, because the trailer basically told you the whole story and actually how it ends. Like it's not even.
It's Iron Man and Spider-Man in a blue kind of suit.
Yeah.
Like even the scene when he's in outer space, that's like Tony when he was like floating up there, and then when he froze.
And then does the bad guy get the same suit?
Dude, on Tuesday, Wonka.
I know there's like Black Beetle and stuff like that. Like that's happened before. Like I'm not. It's not dumb.
Right? Wonka, Ahsoka, and Blue Beetle all came out. All those trailers came out. So I tried to do all three at once, like in one big video. And
I don't care how Wonka started.
Quality didn't look good.
I don't care. No, I don't care. I don't care how Wonka started.
I'm like, you're making this movie for kids, and they don't care. They're not going to get.
It's such a small demographic that knows that Blue Beetle too.
Yeah, but like, so I recorded all three, and when I did Blue Beetle, I'm like, I just hope the bad guy isn't Red Beetle, and it is.
Yeah,
I was like, all right. Well,
it just seems like Shazam over again too. It just seems kind of like, oh, I'm a young kid. Oh, Shang-Chi. I got powers. It's like, wait, let me like tape it and like see what you can do,
Dude, even like the heads up display, like his face with all the things around it is like, the whole shot like Iron Man. Yeah, it looks pretty generic.
I think that movie needed, well, maybe it'll have it. Maybe it's not shown, right? I feel like that movie needs a Ted Kord in it.
Wait, who's Ted Kord? Booster Gold?
The previous Blue Beetle.
Ah.
Because what he did was he had the Beetle, but couldn't get it to work. And he built technology from what he learned from studying the Beetle. So he had the Beetle. He was the Blue Beetle, but he made gadgets sort of like Batman based on the technology of the Beetle, but it wouldn't activate for him. So he wasn't like a chosen Blue Beetle.
See, they always have. There's always that in comic books. There's always like the guy before, and it was a little different. It wasn't just like he had the suit too.
Yeah, right. It's not
There's
just
always
like a
like
mantle pass.
yeah, right. There's always that. There's always like another twist instead of just I
And
went.
and a, like sort like a dichotomy of it, because it was like Ted spent his lifetime studying it,
Yeah.
right? And then it activated. Well, I mean, Ted was dead by the time Jaime got it,
So they never meet. Damn.
so they never meet. Well, maybe they do later on. I don't know if they ever did later on, because Booster saves him from dying. He actually got killed by Maxwell Lord, which would have been a great tie-in for the 1984. Like if they had, well, I mean, I get that they're not. Look, here's the other thing. This is the one thing I wanted to say, and you can bring this up with your therapist as well. I'm not gonna accept. I'm gonna accept what's on paper. Okay, so when they make a movie, sorry, you know what I mean. When they whatever they put to screen is what I'm gonna judge, and I'm gonna judge it all by what's on screen. I don't care what happened in the background. I don't care if somebody got sick. I don't care if somebody had diarrhea and couldn't play Wonder Woman. Like, I don't care how many directors it had. All I know is
COVID-23.
All I know is there was somebody who could have watched it before it got released. There was somebody that could have watched it and said, maybe none of this makes sense. Maybe this whole thing
Like they did with Batgirl.
is just a really bad idea. Yeah, when they did that, I was like, you know what?
It probably really sucked.
If they're not releasing that, then maybe things were just
garbage.
It must be pretty bad.
But I always think that too. I'm like, there's a whole bunch of people in the room that are like, okay, how do we end it? And every time they're like, yeah, it'll be blue against red, and then explosion, and then the good guys win. And then they're not like, can't we not do it that way? Or is it just like we can't come up with anything better? You know?
Can you just read the comics? Like, I don't understand. Like, can you just read
They're laying there.
2,
Or is it
3
they're, like,
comics?
desire
Maybe
to
understand
do
like the
something
struggle that Blue Beetle has. Maybe it's more like a dichotomy of, I'm sorry for using it twice, but it's like maybe it's more that he can't communicate with the suit, and it's more coming to grips with his own family problems and the suit. Maybe that's what they're going to go for. And maybe the villain is overcoming the suit rather than overcoming a bad guy. Maybe the suit is for murdering everybody, and he's trying to convince the suit not to, right? Like maybe the suit has a major history, and he has to break the history. Maybe that's what makes him a hero for turning because if it had gone to anybody else, it would have become a mass murdering, dangerous thing that came from another world, and all the other Beetles are arriving, and he's got to get ready for them to arrive. And that like maybe he's confronted with another Beetle villain at the very end as a cliffhanger or something
Right.
like that. But the internal struggle might be something that's way more fun,
Other than
and way more relatable.
Yes, and like if that is baked into, someone's trying to take it from him. Like, someone's trying to take it from him, and he's trying to get away. But also, he doesn't want the suit to do doesn't want it to work the way it's working. So he's trying to, it's like two things at once instead of just a.
Yeah, like the problem is the timing too, because we kind of had this with the kill mode with the Spider-Man. Right? Like
instant kill.
would you like me to access instant kill? Like that's what Blue Beetle's suit kind of does, right? Like
I can do anything.
It's like I'll do anything to defend myself.
Yeah.
And you're not in control. You're just my host.
Mm.
So it's a bit of Venom. It's a bit of Iron Spider, and so like now it's like we've kind of seen this. So you really do need to kind of come up with like a completely different way of telling the story, because otherwise you're just going to end up with Ant-Man again. Like
yeah, I know. Yeah, same thing.
It's just rough. But yeah, I could understand like that they canceled Batgirl, but then they also released the Flash, and it's like somebody in a room somewhere said, "What if he catches a bunch of babies that fall out of a building?" And they were like, "Anybody else?" And nobody put their hands up, and they went, "Okay,
Okay.
well, I guess we're
Pass
gonna
the
go with this." And
paper.
then somebody, I'm writing it down.
All right, no
Anybody
one's
can
stopping
stop me.
me.
Yeah, like here, I'm handing it to the CGI guy. He's
And
gonna
everybody was
he's
doing
gonna
this.
make a dozen babies
They're mad at The Rock.
fall.
No, now they're happy with The Rock.
I was thinking of a cool thing for Flash too. This popped into my head that if Batman made his suit, if he made his suit have an adjustable friction on the feet, I thought that could be an interesting dynamic for the Flash. Because I was thinking about, I don't quite get how physics work with the Flash when he like runs up a building, or he like in that scene he's kind of like jumping from different pieces of debris,
Yeah.
and I don't quite get how he can trip and slip and fall in some scenes and jump off debris that doesn't have any weight to it because it's falling. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean,
Right?
there's so many moments within those scenes where I'm like, well, that isn't matching up with what's,
Like that does
and then
that's
I'm like, just forget
like
it.
this brick isn't your weight,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
So if
Yeah.
you step
I'm like,
on it and push off of it, even at
yeah.
super speed, like it doesn't make sense that you would then move in the direction you want to go, right? Like so, one thing I was thinking of was that there would be something in the suit that would like adjust friction, so he'd either have like a really strong grip and be able
Right.
to like somehow manipulate the physics
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
things,
Yeah. So that he
or
could actually get traction on that brick.
release it and be able to like slide, you know,
Right. Yeah. Right.
uh,
Yeah. Like if
because
he's running and then has to slide.
because I don't understand, because I would think he would have to have light friction when running on like a street,
Right.
right? Because why isn't he tearing it up?
Right.
If he's like
Or what?
if a
Like a
car, or let's say like a tank, like if he has enough friction to run that fast, then he must have the friction of like a tank, and therefore he
Oh
should
yeah.
just be tearing up the road as he goes
Like
down it, right?
giant chunks. Like remember in
Or we
in
just
just
forget the whole thing.
in Justice League when he spins and the shoes just rip apart.
Right.
That was awesome. And then like he runs, but then he like stops and the street like crumbles under his feet.
Right, exactly. So it's like,
Zachary.
so how does that happen
I know. I was expecting that kind of
sometimes?
stuff throughout the whole thing. Like
Yeah.
that scene was so awesome.
Well, you didn't need it. You didn't need babies.
No, that was like
The
a
more I think about it, I'm just like,
let's see how freaked out everybody gets, and let's make them look creepy.
yeah. It was just like, and Quicksilver kind of did it. I don't want to say better, but at least they just kind of solved some of the parts way faster, right? Like moving people. He supported their heads,
Oh yeah,
and that was it. And we were like,
Whiplash.
okay. You know, like, and he brought everybody through, but he held them a certain way.
Right,
And that kind of just told us as the audience, like, oh, okay, like, so he's done this before.
right.
He's obviously, it's kind of sad because in
Yeah.
that moment you're like, he probably moved somebody and didn't hold their head, and that was probably like a bad day.
You learned that the hard way.
Right. So
I don't think anything will top him running through that kitchen with the rain and it was so cool.
except for the tape player bothered me in that.
All right, yeah, I know the music. Yeah, see, there's your, you're
Like
like,
halfway through,
oh.
I'm like, how? Like I know we hear the music, but I
Yeah,
think
that's
he's
that's
hearing
how
the
I
music,
justify it. I
you
go,
know?
no, it's for me. It's for me.
It's
It's
just
not. He's just
there's
wearing
a
a
term for that, right? Isn't there a term for that for
yeah,
like the
yeah,
audience hears the music, but you're not sure if the people hear the music?
which I loved. Gun, which they did in Guardians with the Beastie Boys. It was like Quill was listening to it for a little, and then like he had it down, and then like we all heard it, and it kept like switching,
Yeah,
like what was it was neat. It was cool. I love
it
when
was
they do
fun.
that.
Yeah, I thought I thought
That scene was
that was
awesome.
pretty fun, and I also like that it wasn't Earth that they went to. Like when you watch the trailer, you're like, oh, he's going back to Earth. Why is he going back to Earth? But then
Oh right,
it
yeah,
wasn't
counter.
Earth, so that was kind of nice. That was kind
Yeah,
of a bit of a switch.
yeah.
Anyway, so I hope
Good
DC
job.
wraps it up.
Yeah,
Green Lanterns are kind of my thing, so I'm.
Mhm.
I
Yeah, I
don't
know.
know. I once wrote Ryan Reynolds a very long thing documenting that he shouldn't be Green Lantern, and I wish he would have read it because he probably
Dude,
would have agreed.
I feel like he did read it. He murders himself as Deadpool, or no, Deadpool. Yeah, Deadpool kills himself in the movie. Like, if he didn't get yours, he got others. You weren't the only one.
Just Green
Yeah,
Lanterns are just tough, you know. I think
yeah.
it's I
They
think
could be
it's
like they're like the X-Men. It's like there's so
they're
much
so
to it.
powerful too.
Right.
It's like in a movie scene, it's really tough to kind of bring them down. Like I like how they
Oh, right.
brought down Thor by making him fat. They brought down Hulk by making him half Hulk, you know, Professor Hulk or whatever. So it's like I like
Yeah,
how
me
they
too. You
figured out
can't
a way to
make
step
them.
people down.
Yeah, you can't. That's why I think that's why Superman is such a thing. It's like, well, he's impossible, you know.
That's why you have things like Kryptonite and Red Suns and
And
things like that.
mental, and he's not a genius. He's a dumb hick from Kansas.
Well, no, that's the thing because I mean, in the comic books, he's supposed to have Kryptonian intellect, which is supposed to be more advanced than human intellect. So Superman's actually supposed to be really smart, and that's the part that
Uh,
upsets me whenever he just runs up and punches people. Like in the Justice League
uh,
TV, the cartoon show, he used to just fly up and punch everybody, and I'm like, no. Like he's supposed to be a pretty good strategist,
statistician, Strat-
strategist,
strategery. But that's why I
redistribution.
always thought Batman outsmarted him. But Batman's
Well, Batman's better.
the smart.
Like it used to get the little cards, you know, and they would tell you on the back
Yeah,
on a
he had
scale of
numbers.
1 to 10, you know, what I- intellect level they were. So Batman was, but I think Mister Terrific that you talked about earlier is supposed to be better than Batman, but he's also sort of like robot
Insane.
thinking. So
Ah,
I don't think he can um, make up nonsense like Batman can. Right.
hmm. Right. Like he's not. Yeah, that's like the thing about
I,
everyone
I
worrying
I
about
I always wanted
AI.
a Batman story to go down the black casebook route and have him wear the purple suit. I forget what it's called, where he goes insane. But it's like the base. He had been attacked by so many psychedelic, you know,
Oh,
scarecrow, polka dot, even you know, like
Polka Dot Man.
all these psychedelic type attacks and drugs and things like that got thrown at him that he made a subconscious um, personality in his head. So if he ever got attacked by some sort of psychic thing or any drug too much, he would regress into this like feral Batman,
Oh my god.
and he would get all of his instructions from
Mental backup.
this like radio on his belt. And so one of the stories goes that he actually regresses back to this, and like everyone's trying to find him, and he's like altered the bat suit to be this like purple and like pink and
What?
yellow bat
What?
suit. Yeah. And he gets and he's insane, but he's keeping himself alive, and he's just listening. He
Oh.
has like a radio that tells him what to do, and the radio is like non-functional,
Oh.
and it's just like this insane like. And then
That's
if he
so
comes across
crazy.
anybody, he just like murders them. Like it's just like
What is
it's
the story called?
well the black case book
The Black Case
was
Book.
the setup for it. I forget the. I'll have to look up what the story was called when he was actually in that mode, but it was it was just kind of like a pretty fun story. Like if they want to tell dark stories, there are dark stories there, but you need to kind of know that it's different from Batman, right? So
Right,
you
right.
do need
It's
to establish like
Elseworlds.
the no gun, no kill Batman
Right.
and the Boy Scout Superman, and
Yeah.
then go tell the story of Superman with red kryptonite or something like that, and you can get the response you needed because they already had to make these tools in the comic book to get things moving, like
Right.
to make Superman less, there's like kryptonite that immediately takes away his power. There's like kryptonite that hurts him. There's kryptonite that turns him evil. There's all these things that you could use, and everyone will be like, okay, fine.
Yeah.
But you can't make Superman Wolverine. He's got to be a Boy Scout. He's got to be
Yeah.
Kansas.
You want to hug him.
Yeah. So, all right. I don't know. You got to get a chair, man.
I
What happened to that
know.
chair?
Well, this is a chair. This is like a better one than I was using. The other one was like a dinner table chair.
Yeah.
But this one's still like not great, but it's better than that one.
All right. Next time I win a chair contest, I'll have them send it to you.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Welcome.
All right, brother.
All right.
Great show, man. Love you.
All right. Have a good
Peace.
night. See you.